Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'll bring this meeting back to order. We'd like to begin if you join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. And Tyler, would you lead us, please? Yes. Tyler Mills.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for joining us this evening. First of all, we will have the approval of the agenda, and I do have a couple of changes. Under new business, item A, we will do that on April 2nd at 6 p.m. Under for your information, the March 24th meeting will be at 7, and we will add an April 2nd meeting for 6 p.m. Under that, and under discussion, I would like to discuss the Wyoming School Board Association Chairs meeting and a policy, NIL policy that the High School Activities Association is considering. Does anyone else have any other changes? May I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the amended agenda. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Recognitions. Would you like anything? All right. Rice.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Would like to do recognition for the Career Trade Fair. A lot of hands on deck to make that event happen. Maggie and Zach are kind of our committee chairs. Maggie Hunter-Sayre and Zach Beam are committee chairs for that and put a lot of time, energy, and effort into that. So I want to thank them. And then our teachers run sessions for the students. And when they're off, so half the crew, juniors and seniors, are in the gym, and then freshmen and sophomores are in classrooms and they're doing different activities. And so teachers are running those, and also our Sources of Strength students ran a bunch of those events today as well. So thankful to the teachers and them for running those sessions. Thankful to Custodial for doing some extra cleanup in the dome. That was, not a normal thing. And then our maintenance crew, Sophie and Todd, for helping us haul tables and get them back to the fairgrounds and back to the hospital, because we borrow like 60 tables from other people. Tia Kessler from the Chamber of Commerce for helping collaborate and organize bringing in vendors for this event. And then just all the vendors who spent time out of their day to talk to our kids and make this a meaningful experience for them. I think kids are always pretty nervous to go in there, and at first they stick to their little wolf packs and move around, and then eventually they start to branch out and become a little bit more comfortable. Just a funny quote from a freshman boy is, when he enters, he's like, "This is terrifying, but very cool." So I think getting these kids talking to adults, it's a really good thing for them in the long run. And the more we do it and they see that these conversations are meaningful, I think it's a really positive thing. Had a student who talked to the Marine Corps recruiter and just really opened his eyes to a lot of opportunities that he didn't know that were there before. And so just a good event all around. So thank you for all those people for helping that set up. Last time I was here, I didn't have individual state swim results, so I wanted to report those to you. In third place in the 200 IM was Gabe Hoover. In sixth place in the 1 meter diving was Samuel Scribner. And then in third place in the 500 free, which is 20 laps, if you guys don't know that, was Harrison Gross. And then our 200 and 400 relay teams both got 6, and it was the same students on both teams, and that was Sam Scribner, Logan Olson, Harrison Gross, and Gabe Hoover. So those are state swim results, and so pretty good showing for a small team that we have. And then state wrestling results, Briley Castor finished 6th place, and girls wrestling is all class, so it's 2A, 3A, 4A all combined, so I think that's pretty impressive as a 9th grade student. And then Scott Larson finished 6th as well, and so they wrapped up their seasons recently, so just want to recognize those kids.
Well done. I feel the same way about being an adult. Terrifying, but cool. Tyler Bartlett.
Thank you. A few, I've told you guys over the years, we've got some published poets, so I would just update you this year. Mrs. Bartlett's published poetry authors. They're in a book if you want to come see it in the middle school. But from 7th grade last year, Jasmine Reynolds, Natalie Dean, Liam Novak, Isabel Stillabauer, and Savannah Lorenz were all published this year. And then she's starting something new this year if you want to come see it too sometime at lunch. She had close to 20 kids at lunch on Monday doing a little poetry workshop where they're just, it's not an assignment, it's not a grade, it's a, do you want to come in and write poetry? And so I think it's pretty cool how it's grown. Some more students to recognize, Asik Dawson, Davin Hoffman, and Braylon Gregory went with me today to help unload and put away the Totes of Hope delivery. And so it was an eye-opening experience for me to see. I mean, I've seen all the food go out, but when you see it all come in one delivery, it's a lot for those ladies to handle, I think. And so I think we have a new plan where we're going to get middle school and high school students to help with that process every month. But those were our first 3 lucky volunteers, so we'll give those boys a shout out. And also, Robert Munger recently received the VFW Citizenship Education Teacher Award for middle school teachers across the entire state of Wyoming, and he is actually still in the running currently for the national award. And I think you guys would know this, but you know, he's got a close-up trip coming again at the end of the month that Robert and Sheila do. There were grandparents of students that have been on that trip and got that experience that pushed for this and nominated them at the local VFW, and then it's just kind of gone all the way through the state and up to the national level. So shout out to Robert and Sheila for what they do.
Excellent. Congratulations. Brandy.
I just have one quick one. I would like to recognize the good citizens for February, Luxon, Zuma, and Riker Rhodes. Well deserving.
Thank you. Taryn.
Thank you. I just want to recognize all the people who helped with skiing. So Chad Austinson, Hannah Heeb, Patricia Miller, Robert Miller, and Matt Konzelman all got to go at some point during this season. And a big shout out to our skiers. So Rena Carr at area games brought home 1 bronze and 2 silvers. At state games in Jackson, she brought home 2 silver medals and a 4th place medal. And then Matthew Carr also went in at area games. He got 2 gold medals and a silver medal. And then in Jackson at state games, he got a silver, a bronze, and a 4th. So they came home with some good medals to brag about. So
Great hardware. Thank you. Anyone else with recognitions? I don't see any. All right. Visitors' comments. Pam Galtieri. We're going to talk about the classic summer drags.
Thank you guys for being patient with us. With the classic summer drags, why we try to get everything put together. We did have the cart before the horse, so we do apologize for that, but excitement kind of got a hold of us because this is a pretty big event and we're excited to bring it to Newcastle. We did get the insurance information to CeeLo, and was everything okay there? Okay, so we did get the insurance over to CeeLo, so I guess we're still waiting on the clarification from Shelby or from the school side of it. We did have to go a little bit of a different route because the insurance that the autocross has is under the city insurance in Nebraska. So we had to get our own insurance, plus we had to get our own insurance because of YDOT. So there is, and we have it to where we are able to use it at all different locations, throughout the city. So we have to have Weston County School District listed as its, as an individual versus the clause that I sent or that she sent us. Please let me know, right away. But we're still planning, July 16th through the 20th. Sandy is, on the phone right now with Ross. I don't know if he can get on Zoom as he is traveling. But I do have, Chuck and Todd and Sandy here. They're part of our board, to answer questions in regards to the map that we sent and did some corrections on for the use of the school parking lots, if that is to be agreed upon by your board and the rec board. I know that we would like to see about on Friday night having a pre-setup where we can do marking with chalk. If we're approved, where the cones would be, and then pick up the cones afterwards that night. Is that correct? Thursday. Sorry. Do you want to come up and explain that part? Is he?
Are we ready? Are you?
And we do have him on the phone versus Zoom, so we can,
Again?
and he can answer any questions
Okay.
that you guys have.
I just happened to do that. Just hang on just a second. I'm going to put you on speakerphone, so you'll be speaking to the board until you can tap into a Zoom. Okay? Okay. So you're going on speakers. I don't see anything bad. Okay, so Ross Dale is the gentleman who is running the autocross. So Ross, could you tell the school board exactly what your profession is when it comes to autocross, how many years, and what events in the past that you have conducted? Or they can just questions.
Well, at least
I've been running the autocross for probably, I can't exactly say for sure, but probably 12 years. And I've been involved with it for quite a bit longer than that. It's just kind of one of those deals where I raised my hand, but I shouldn't have, so I'm now in charge. So, what kind of questions do you have about it?
Joe?
I got one about the
Here, I don't know
map.
if they can hear you. I'm going to walk to you.
I got one question about the map. We discussed possibly, because now the drainage isn't an issue, if we've looked at the football parking lot.
I guess I don't know. I haven't seen that. Is that the part we were talking about parking in?
Yes, where you thought the pit was at. But now, because we're just half the school parking lot, but now we're able to use the whole parking lot even with the drainage, and I was curious about the football
If we use
field
the
parking
pit-
lot.
The pit area.
Yeah, first off, it's,
Well, I guess I didn't look at it for much more than parking, so I don't know. Are you talking about using it for the autocross or?
Ross, this is Chuck. We looked at the parking lot. It's not big enough for one thing. And the drainage is a lot deeper than what the one over on the other parking lot is.
He didn't hear you.
Oh, no.
We already looked at the pit area that we proposed. We were gonna look at that for the area, but it's not big enough, and that drainage ditch is even deeper than the one on the parking lot that we wanted to use.
Oh, yeah, you definitely don't want a deep drainage ditch there. I mean, the one that was in the parking lot wasn't bad at all. I wouldn't worry about that one, but anything deeper than that is pretty rough on a car. I don't know. I think it's easily doable in the school parking lot. It won't be a long course, but it'll be doable.
I think they're concerned, Ross, this is Sandy again. I think they're concerned about some damage or what the structure to the parking lot is going to be. Can you kind of ease their mind or tell them what actually happens with the car and the speed that they go, so it's not going to tear up the asphalt or the concrete or whatever they have down there? Can you maybe explain that to them?
Yeah, it's not hard on the parking lot at all, really. 'Cause, at the Central States Fair parking lot, the only time we have to worry about doing anything to the parking lot is directly after the Central States Fair, because they have carnival rides set up there that just leak hydraulic oil.
The new store. This is the one-stop shop. We have a pharmacy. We have a bootlegger's liquor. The deli, the food that you can get at a lunchtime is so amazing. The coffee shop. Certain Friday mornings, there's 30 people sitting here in all these chairs. This is the hub for people to come and visit, have their coffee, have their donuts. It's amazing what this area has done. Totally amazing.
Because they have carnival rides set up there that just leak hydraulic oil all over the place. And that softens up the asphalt. So after that event, then any courses we set up, we try and avoid the spots of oil, not for traction purposes, but because it softens up the asphalt. And if you set up a corner where you're going around the corner through one of those spots, it tends to push the asphalt kind of out of the hole, I guess. But that's not really an issue where you guys are at. So it should hold up perfectly fine. I wouldn't worry about it at all, really. It's just not that hard on asphalt. If it was, they wouldn't let us run at Central States Fairgrounds.
Okay.
Do we have more questions for Mr. Dale?
So the cone size that we're putting out there, did you say they're 18 inches?
The what?
The
Oh,
cone,
the cones? Yes.
they are,
18 inches is the preferred height. The taller ones are harder on a car, and the shorter ones are hard to see. So 18 inches, what is generally standard for autocross?
and he said there's about 150 cones, correct, to do the obstacle that we looked at?
Yes.
Brad?
So with summer programming, Thursday, like late afternoon setup or
All day.
approximately,
So us, on our setup, all we need to do is, so with that, correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe what we're gonna do is we're just gonna go out and pinpoint where the cones are going, chalk them, and then leave everything alone, and then early Friday morning, we just have to go out and place the cones. That's all we need for a setup, correct?
Correct.
So if you had from,
Set up the cones Thursday night and leave them there.
Well,
you know, it'd have to be Thursday night because Thursday day you have summer activities.
so from 4 p.m., is that what you're indicating, Brad? Would 4 p.m. work?
I would say 4:30 would be
4:30.
sufficient. That should be the end of all of the summer rec programming.
At 4:30, by 4:30, everyone would be gone.
Then we discussed Friday being cleared out anyway, so we should be okay
So
Friday.
anytime after 4:30 on Thursday.
on Thursday after 4:30. Well, I think it stays lighter, later.
Oh, yeah.
So
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
think, and I don't think, how long do you think it would take us to put the cones up and then chalk them? Because I know we're not gonna leave them out. How long do you think of a time that we need? Like an hour, 45 minutes? What are you thinking?
It's to set up a course and you set up a course and then you have someone drive through it that's not familiar with it, so you can tell if they get lost or not. You can adjust the course. It generally takes about 2 hours to set up a course.
I'm okay with that as long as it doesn't affect summer rec.
Okay, that's what they were saying for Thursday night, how much time we had to do that and then chalk it. So they're looking at maybe after 4:30, 5 o'clock, they're gonna let us have that parking lot to set that up.
Sure. And that's plenty of time, because it'll be pretty late in the day at that
Yeah,
point.
that would give you at least 4 hours, I would think, even if the storm was coming in or something. It would be daylight.
Or say May is more than welcome to, just to see how it runs.
I didn't tell them about that yet. They are having one, so any of you that would like to go watch one already being done in May, he's doing one. You can go see what happens, how it runs. Tell them the dates and times and place.
May 10th and 11th, although the 10th is still iffy. I need to talk to the lady at the Central States Fairgrounds because Feeding America tentatively wanted the lot for that. But the 11th is a definite. We'll be doing that. We start setting up the course at 8:30. and we start running by about 11:30 is when we start racing, and we go till 4:30 or so. So the 11th is a definite, and anyone's welcome to come along and ride along or just observe, whatever they want to do. I would suggest riding along because it's fun.
Okay.
It's at the Central States Fairgrounds in Rapid City.
Okay. Billy?
I guess two questions. What do you think the max speed is that they would make it on this course? Max speed, do you think they would make it on the course?
I'm sorry, what was that?
What do you think the max speed that they would make it on our course is if we use the whole parking lot?
Probably 45 to 50 miles an hour for the fast cars.
Okay.
It's going to be a fairly tight course.
Okay. Are cones the only thing that's protecting the course? Okay.
We generally keep part of the course. We like to keep 30 to 40 feet away from any hard objects.
Like curb,
Lights, signs, whatever.
Buildings, yeah. Okay.
curb especially.
Concrete barriers. Chuck, do you want to explain?
Oh, do you have
Okay,
Jersey barriers?
that's, okay, you can, another question real quick though. This is more for Pam. You guys did okay the area here for school fundraising first, right?
Yes.
Okay.
we did.
And if nobody shows, then, or if nobody signs up for it, okay.
I need a list of that as
Thank
soon as you guys have a list, so that I can see how many of the other vendors I have to move off and alleviate to let the school vendors in. So we will need your list as soon as we can.
I thought we were just gonna have school vendors in this parking lot so they weren't competing against anybody.
No, I thought we were gonna, let, if any school vendors wanted to be here, we weren't going to charge them.
Yeah, that's.
Okay, so there could be other food vendors here too?
There could be, depending on, what you guys have, but there's also gonna be events still on Main Street that we're gonna have vendors
Yeah,
on Main
I'll be
Street.
on Friday,
as
so I
well.
know where to move who to, so we're
Okay.
not competing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you'll have to,
So I think if we have, an idea of what vendors that the school has,
okay,
we have an idea of what vendors to allow here and then have the other vendors on Main Street.
okay. I'll reach out to some of the sponsors or whatever, but I would like to see them just not fight against each other, just have
Exactly.
one vendor doing food and then they just split it.
We want everybody to have a great experience and be successful with this. All the businesses in town, as well as even Upton, is jumping on board and offering a lot of stuff during this event. So if we can help the county wide, I think this will be more successful than we're thinking.
And if you think about the number of people who are at the burnout in Sundance, most vendors and restaurants run out of food.
They do.
They do. And so I would rather have them have plenty, but yeah, if the school
We don't
kids
want
can
to
do it
compete. We don't
here.
want 3 hamburger vendors, so we're
Right.
gonna move some of them downtown since we're having our car show downtown the same day.
Yeah.
And we did say that we would let the school vendors have some of the area.
Yeah.
Okay. Any more questions for Ross? Anybody?
I don't see anything. Thank you.
Ross, going twice.
Oh, Joe?
Oh, not
Oh. Oh, okay. Thank you, Mr. Dale.
Bad habit at the auto problem. It's a very safe activity, really. We keep everything as far away from hard objects as we can, and we've never really had an issue. So keep that in mind.
I know.
Thank you for joining us, Mr. Dale. We appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you, Ross.
I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
All right, bye.
If there is any more questions, we can get in touch with Ross and ask them, or email down the road as well.
And we do have a new map.
We did drop it off.
Oh, good.
We
Okay.
did drop it off to CeeLo. But
And the 2 guys that are helping Ross So it's not going to be Pam and I. That's not what we're doing. We're not doing the part of standing out there and directing. But the two gentlemen that are Ross's right-hand men are Todd Martin and Chuck right here. They are the two. So if you have questions for either one of those, they've walked the course with him. They've done the paperwork with him. They're going to set up all this stuff. These two are the two that are going to run that whole event.
Okay.
It's not going to be us.
You know that? No.
Yes, they know. It's a voluntoad.
And so it's not just this board that's involved. We've gone to city council. We'll be going there again on Monday. We're speaking with the commissioners, so they're involved. The sheriff's department's involved, the police department's involved, highway department is involved, the city crew's involved. So it's not something that that this little board can do by itself. It's definitely going to be a community project. So, but we haven't like really gone out there because we didn't have a final blueprint, especially without having, you know, the okay from the school, because that's a huge part of it. If we don't have the autocross here, then, you know, we're kind of.
And just to verify dates and times, we're talking July 17th, Thursday at
That's
4:30.
it would be after 4:30. Yes.
Yep. Okay. I'm clarifying that for our rec chairman's agenda because we have the 16th through the 20th on there, and
Well,
we
the
wanted
16th is when the event, the registration and stuff starts.
Right.
And the 20th is when our event ends.
so he'll want to make sure that the school involvement dates are on that one.
And it's only that Friday for you guys.
Right.
Except for setting up that Thursday night. Also, Pam, we have the fire department, which will be out there, and the ambulance, which will be on site too.
We meet with them on Thursday, or the 13th, tomorrow, Thursday at their meeting. So I'm not sure what their standby situation is going to be yet, since we meet with them at their meeting tomorrow. But we have been talking with the fire chief Curran. So I think when he has a better idea, once we meet with them tomorrow, I'm sure they'll have their plan of action. But we have been in touch with Campbell County EMS, so they know this event's coming and they'll make their arrangements however they need to make. So we have ambulance on standby. We're just trying to cover all of our bases. The one thing I did want to bring up, and I'm not sure how the school wants to make arrangements, but on Saturday when we have our drag racing, it is going to be on the bypass area. So it will be Stampede down to the Fairgrounds Road, all the way down to the port of entry if need be. I don't know if people might park in the high school parking lot, so I don't know if you guys want to, if you want people parking there. If not, maybe closing it off. So, so this is how the whole highway department and stuff.
So point it out, you can, I'll hold it.
I just want to kind of let you guys know that I'm not sure if people are going to be parking or trying to park in the school. If you guys don't want them to, having to make those kind of arrangements. But we have been working with Scott Taylor and the rest of YDOT in regards to the drag racing. And so our drag racing, and we'll be going up and down Stampede, talking to the houses and letting them know. But
It's like a boxing match.
yeah. So from Stampede, Stampede's not being closed at all from where the Maverick is to the bypass. That's going to be staying open because the trucks have to have a place.
That's been changed.
Oh, I'm going to be quiet.
Stampede Street will be for local traffic only. The truck route will actually be coming through town for that Saturday. So the Stampede won't be closed. The bypass will be closed, partially because they're not sure what's going to happen with the bridge this summer. If they're going to have that completed, then they can't take any heavy loads across there or any wide loads.
And then, but Stampede, by the Children's Center and all that will be closed. Yes. So.
It's open to local traffic, which that means for the people who live and work that need that road, they'll be able to use that road.
Correct.
In addition to the weekly printed version of the newsletter journal, we also promote our community and share important information on our award-winning website, newslj.com, and in our weekly email newsletter, Nuke Now. We also connect with readers through various social media platforms and invite you to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can even take a look at a recent meeting of the City Council, School Board, or County Commission on our YouTube channel. We do hope that you will go to newslj.com and subscribe today, and we look forward to making all of our great content available to you. But regardless of your level of support, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts for doing your part to preserve a free and independent local press.
So.
It's open to local traffic, which that means for the people who live and work that need that road, they'll be able to use that road.
Correct.
But we'll have to go and talk to all the houses on Stampede, because they'll have to enter and exit on Rodeo.
Hear that, Jason?
But that was what worked best for the drag racing and for the refinery.
Well,
Okay.
and the highway department
And the highway
also
department.
said to us that's what they would like us to do on that point. So when we all got together at our last meeting with them, they said, can we do it? Well, it's Pam said, can we move here? And then they said, yes. Not only that, the insurance wise, because there's no residential that's closed, and we're going to use the red, white, and blue park. We'll have all of our vendors and some other things there. We will have the bleachers on one side with pedestrians on one side of the road, and then the drag racing on the other side.
And it gives you extra room with that, with the lane merging there too. Bryce?
Sorry, my question backtracks a little bit. What time should student groups be ready to serve food, and then how long does this race go?
So we start at 8 o'clock in the morning on Friday morning is qualifies. So is it qualifies from 8 to 11? From 11 on is actual racing or the autocross. Through that, I have told all the vendors that have now signed up to be up and ready no later than 7:30 because we're not going to be moving trucks in and out or people in and out to get your venue set up because I don't want anybody hit. So they have to be up and ready to go by 8 o'clock.
Because we have bleachers.
Because we have
7:30.
sitting up there also, and so we don't want anybody hurt or trucks coming in or whatever.
So they are ready to serve food at 8 until.
We're going until 5 or 6. Because they said, depending on how many cars, at this point, we're past a 250 car mark. And I think he told us we had to cap it up 500.
Yes.
So we're capping at 500 and we haven't even advertised yet. Our website's not even up and out there yet. So we're already at 250.
Who do you want the sponsors to contact to let you know?
That have to contact me so I can
Okay.
go through whatever they're doing on who's eating and who's drinking and who's what. And once again, you guys are aware that that beer garden is going to have, when we talked to Lynn Buskell, just, I know somebody had some concerns last time we were here. The beer garden will have 4 security units there. They are not allowed to come out of that garden,
And
which is not on the school property.
would you make sure Bryce has all your contact info before you leave?
No, it's a secret.
No.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? I think we have everything. This is on the rec board agenda for tonight too with Joe.
That'd be perfect price. If you have a problem and you can't reach me because I do work, it's okay. If you at least get it to her, she will get it to me because she's going to help with that. So if you can't reach me, go ahead and call Pam. Is that right? Go ahead and call Pam because she can get it to me. Just go ahead. just do it. Just call her. It'll be fine.
I'll work with
Okay.
you too and we'll get.
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate that additional info and getting our questions.
Like, a once a month or something. I'm sure one of us would be more than happy to come and do that, even if it's with the rec board or what, just to kind of stay in the loop. So just let us know.
All right. Thank you very much, Pam. All right. Any other visitors' comments or input? Seeing none, we will move on to action items, consent agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Old business revisions to the 25-26 school calendar.
Yes, so at one of the last board meetings, when we were talking about calendar, the calendar that's in your packet is really the best example that we have to take care of the educational needs and our staffing needs, with what was mentioned on how are we going to handle those Fridays. So most of the Fridays really are professional wellness kinds of days. There are days that we will have to coordinate, as building principals to get the necessary items done. But to try to meet one of the concerns that were out there when we talked about the 4-day week was that time. And how do we, value time? How can we respect that? The other thing that you'll notice at the end in May, there's a couple snowflake days that could be possible makeup days. That was a parent request so that people have an idea that if and when those things happen, when are they going to possibly be made up? So I think everything in front of you lays out exactly what we need to do for student learning and what we need to do to help those staff members that teach students. And I think that was, I hope, the intent of what I heard at the board meeting. And truly, I would call, you call it a work day, you could call it a wellness day. I mean, if it's a day like today and you want to go for a little walk with a group of people, I think that's fine. I've heard from a lot of staff members, maybe that's their family time to go to Dairy Queen and they come in on a Saturday and Sunday where others aren't bothering them and they can get their work done. But they're professionals, they'll get the work done. It just will be a little bit more flexible with their time if the board approves that recommendation.
We have a motion.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the revisions to the 25-26 school calendar regarding our Fridays. Is there any discussion or questions for Brad? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. New business, certified recommendation.
Yes, and so with the following
Resignations, sorry.
resignations that I do have, I would ask the board to accept the resignation of Ashley Diaz. And because Ashley is the school nurse, I would ask permission to post, because I don't think as a district you really want to move forward without a school nurse.
Move to approve.
Oh, I thought Jason wanted to make the motion. No?
No.
Oh, okay, sorry. That's okay. It's been moved and seconded to approve the certified resignation. Is there any discussion? Jason?
Brad, I know at one time we were using a nurse under somebody else's license. This is her license.
That's my understanding, yes.
Okay, so whoever we have needs to have their own license in. Okay.
Any other discussion?
I guess what did we do? Do we have a plan for summer school for a nurse?
We're broke. Summer school ain't gonna happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I do not at this time.
Okay.
But in all seriousness, based on funding, I would think a lot of the summer school, not programming through the rec, but through the district, is going to be downsized considerably just based on what I and the group anticipate with some of our title funds.
Thank you.
Any other questions or discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Thank you, Ashley. Certified resignation.
Yes, I would recommend to the board the resignation of Mike Gregory as the high school counselor at the end of the school year and permission to post that and just, it's very similar to like the nurses thing, but that consistency of care with all the wellness issues around our young people and staff, I think it's wise to probably look at replacing that.
Move to approve?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the certified resignation from Mike Gregory as high school counselor and posted position. Is there any discussion? Paul?
Madam Chair, I'd just like us to amend it to accept it with regret.
Thank you.
Excuse me.
The
Absolutely.
motion maker and second approve. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Thank you, Mike, for all your years of service. Classified recommendation.
So I would recommend to the board Carrie Bridge as a school bus route driver.
Move to approve.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the classified recommendation for Carrie Bridge as a school bus route driver. Is there any discussion? How many bus drivers do we still need? Weird. Do you know? It was three.
It's one or two, I think, that we're down to route drivers. And then, the ongoing issue of covering the depth of our activity thing is always going to have to be looked at. But I have some ideas later that I can discuss with the board when we look at maybe budget and some ideas of what years ago the board set forward with intent. That may help to revisit that. And it was more around what they called a cluster employee. So the cluster employee was a 12-month employee, and it was really so. I know I don't like the title. I didn't come up with it. But really what it is it's your go-to person. So let's say you're getting ready, it's, 5:00 in the morning, and all of a sudden somebody calls in. That employee automatically knew that they would have to take that route. So you're not looking for a sub in the middle of the dark. The other thing, and the reason that was 12 months is twofold. Number one, that was always if Brad LaCroix's that person, you don't get the option. Susan's not taking the basketball trip, Brad is. And I think there's some systems that have to be in place because even in emergency, like an evacuation, the reason we brought that person on is, again, you have a secretary that can drive, you have Troy can drive, you have this employee to drive. So right away, you have 3 buses moving while the others are coming to get their buses to help in an evacuation. I think we've sort of lost that view. And I think if we stuck with that and revisited that, I think it would help the board, and I think it would help the frustration with the last minute unknown.
That sounds like a plan to
That's
me.
way more detail than you probably needed tonight.
Nope, that was good. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Certified resignation.
So, Madam Chair, I would recommend the resignation of Lori Crawford as a title math teacher. I am asking for permission to post, and this one may be a slow walk. As you all know, there's a lot of uncertainty about how federal funding is going to look, or maybe how it's not going to look. And so we will continue to watch that funding source and then possibly bring that recommendation back to you. Or this could be the start of our plan for attrition to probably not right size at the right time, because the middle school and high school are bigger, but as a district, it might help us try to do some things with attrition so we avoid a RIF. That's way down the road, but it's a hearty conversation that if you have today, it's not as uncomfortable 3 or 4 years down the road.
You have a motion?
Move to approve. Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the certified resignation from Lori Crawford as a Title I math teacher and post the position pending federal funding concerns. It's been moved and seconded to approve the certified resignation from Lori Crawford as a Title I math teacher and post the position pending federal funding concerns. Is there any more discussion? Jason?
How long was she employed? 2 years? Okay.
Anything else? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Thank you, Lori, for your service. For your information, administrator reports. Adam, do you have anything?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't have anything unless you guys got something for me.
I see nothing. Tyler Bartlett.
Thank you. Quick updates. Track and soccer started this week and it picked a real good week to start. I don't think we've ever had a week like this, so we'll see if they get used to it or not when the snow starts flying again. 15 boys out for middle school soccer, give or take, always plus or minus on all my numbers, but 15 for boys for soccer, 21 for girls for soccer, and just under 50 for boys and girls total out for track. So sitting pretty good in all areas. Everybody's pretty active and busy, and so that's good. Working on Y-top schedules and planning and those kind of things. I've tried to make a habit of just touching base with you guys every spring. I'm still planning on doing an incentive activity for kids that demonstrate above average growth. It's not my favorite solution to the problem, but it's the best solution I came up with a few years back. So yeah, is the board still comfortable with going forward with that plan, or then that will be the plan unless you guys want to tell me otherwise. And then remember, we always do fun stuff for all the kids that day regardless. Yeah. And then you are all cordially invited to the Newcastle Middle School dance this Friday from 6:30 to 8. Spring is in the air. Should be good.
Oh, yes.
Because I know what you were saying.
The white top stuff? Yeah, and I'm glad you said it because I want to make sure that everybody understands.
Yes,
I know I've got
that's a great idea. Thanks.
a parent that's got my emails and stuff too, but yeah. So standardized testing sucks and nobody likes it and all the things. But we put up charts where we compare our school district to everybody else with those tests. So a big thing that I figured out back when I first started was just you need the kids to care about the test a little bit because they can be real sharp. We can learn, we can do a lot of things, but if they want a dot race, then that's what's going to show up on the test. I don't want to put too much value on the standardized test, but I also want to try to make it something that's more exciting or positive for them. So each year we've looked at students either scoring proficient or advanced, of course, but what we've also done through the help of our district static coordinator is any student that shows above average growth compared across the state. So they might still be in the basic category, below basic category, whatever, but we can show numerically with their stupid scale score that they have grown more than the average across the state. Then we can celebrate that. 2 years ago when we were exceeding expectations, I think 10 of our students didn't end up meeting that requirement. we still had something fun for the kids that don't get to go. And in fact, every year, and I always feel good about that in a way too, every year I have students that choose to stay back because they think the thing that we're doing here sounds fun. So again, I don't want to embarrass anyone. I don't want to put anyone down. I put that in my correspondence to parents, which I think you guys received too, that I know this isn't a perfect solution, but just trying to make it worthwhile to the kids so that they care and have a reason to celebrate. So yes, if you guys are comfortable with that, I would do that again this year. We continue to work funds around with different fundraisers and things where we can afford to do that and just try to keep it interesting for the kids.
Any questions or comments for Todd?
Don't let Brad distract you from the dance on Friday night from 6:30 to 8 in the middle school
6:30
gym.
to 8. That does sort of meet my hours of socializing on a weekend night, so thank you, Tyler. Nice.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Course registration guide was sent out to students and parents last week, and so they have that to start browsing through classes. We tried to time up the career day with the scheduling side of things so that students can connect with some things that they talked about with employers today to potentially choosing classes that will steer them in the direction that they want to go, at least for the moment. So that'll be coming up this month. They'll be registering, picking classes for next year. The ACT test that all juniors have to take will be taken on March 25th. That's it's an interesting thing as a statewide test because it's a college readiness exam for juniors who haven't finished everything through high school. But we'll do our best, and the kids will do their best too, I am sure. Boys and girls state applications are getting handed in, and they're going to start some interviews for the boys at least next week. I haven't heard when the girls state interviews are set up, but I know I was signing some applications today for some girls, so I know they're getting ready to get that done. For those of you who don't know, that's a summer leadership program that's put on each year. Students have to come in and interview for that to be selected for it, so not anybody can just go there. They're selected for it. This is F month at the high school, and so that stands for FFA, FPLA, and FCCLA having a bunch of their activities. So kids are going all over the place, advisors are going all over the place. It's a busy time for all in that. And then next week also, KC is bringing their student council here for a student council exchange. Later in the year, our student council is going to send members to there. So where earlier this year, I don't know if you remember, we had Kelly Walsh here, 2,000 students. Now we're going to go to KC. I think, you're looking at like 60 students. So going to see both ends of the spectrum. So I think it's good exposure for our students. And then spring sports participation numbers. As of right now, we have 45 students out for track, 35 students out for soccer. Again, the weather is really nice, so I think everyone's okay with it right now. We'll see when the real spring comes. But, right now I think we should have about 6 inches of snow on the ground normally, so it's a good start.
All right. Any questions for Mr. Hoffman?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Son.
Can hold it.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a few things, since the legislative session wrapped up, I would say, just talk about one main bill from curriculum, the K-3 literacy standpoint. One amendment did get passed, and so basically the only change to that is an added documenting, reporting thing that we have to do.
And Sonia, did they provide any funding for that that additional documentation requirement?
No funding.
That's what
Not in the original and not in the amendment.
Thank you.
No funding across the board. Yep. So we will do that. So thanks to our literacy IF who takes care of that reporting. As far as standards go, ELA is in the process of doing the standards again, and just knowing how the process has gone, stopped, starting again, had to reformat as they're moving forward. I just have concerns with the process in general, so I'm a little bit anxious for how the results will come out. Like, will we really have a solid set of standards for ELA, which is one of the most important areas to make sure we get right. So there's that. I think the idea from some organizations is to hurry up and get it done as fast as possible because they've spent 2.5 years, year and a half, whatever it is, that they've worked on this, from, stopping and starting points. And then another set of entities are, it doesn't matter the timeline, let's get it right. If we need to put more time and meetings and effort into people to get it done by a certain date, then let's do that. So I just think there's a lot of mixed messages going on. And I believe last week, the WDE sent out a call for interested people being on the CTE committee. So I shared that with all of our CTE teachers, and I know of a couple that have filled out the option to be selected in the pool. So we'll see what happens there. So that's what I know. If you have questions for me, that's all I have.
I don't see anything. Thank you, Sonia. Brandy.
All right, thank you. So this week we're wrapping up our assessments and we just updated our reading ILPs, which is part of that statute that Sonia referred to. So we're following the rules and getting things done there. And we're getting ready for conferences next week. We did do that gallery walk in February on the 21st and 28th, and I didn't take account of how many visitors we had, but it was a pretty solid flow through both of those mornings. So I think that's something we're going to continue into next year, on the quarters that we don't have conferences or something, so we can get parents in and seeing what we're doing. But with that being said, we now have all new stuff up in the hall. So if you're all around for conferences, come take a look. Some of the things that they're doing with our CKLA program, which is our ELA program, is pretty cool. It is pretty fun to watch. So, come check it out and have kids tell you what they're doing. It's fun. And as of today, we have 34 signed up for kindergarten screening. So big jump from last meeting, but I'll keep you posted as we get going. So that's all I have unless you have questions for me.
Anyone have questions for Brandy? I don't see any. Taryn?
Thank you. The department's been busy for quarter three. We hosted 47 IEP meetings or 504 meetings. It is kind of a busy time of year because of data meetings and middle of year assessments. And so we get a lot of referrals at this time of the year. So the evaluation team is on their toes. They have 12 referrals going right now, which is pretty normal. We kind of expect this time of year, but it just gets super busy. So those people are running around. To talk about kindergarten, we set up the date to have transition meetings for our incoming kinders who have IEPs at the Children's Center. So that'll be a day long of meetings to get those IEPs transferred to the district and to meet those families and kind of talk through that process with them. So we'll do that the first week of May. And then we received our 1% YALT participation letter from WDE. So with that, for kids who take the alternate YTOP, it's called the YALT, and WDE requires a 1% participation rate or less. And so you have to fill out this paperwork and say what percent you are going to be. And we are less than that 1%, so we meet the requirements. So we got that letter from WDE also. And that's all I have for you.
Good. Anyone have any questions or discussion for Taryn? I don't see anything. Thank you. Mr. LaCroix?
Madam Chair, I think I'll save mine for the bulk of the rec board meeting with the packet for we'll call it SOP, Save Our Pool project.
Okay.
But I think I can do most of that under the rec board, please.
Okay. Jason, have you had any meetings?
Have not.
Dana? Tomorrow, Dana has a meeting. I participated in the School Board or Wyoming School Board Association Chairs Roundtable, and we talked about legislation that had happened. We talked about
the 186-page decision from the Laramie County District Court telling the legislature that they have not funded education according to their own model. And what might come from that, the general consensus, and nothing has been decided, but from people who have been involved for some time, is that it would probably be dangerous for the state to appeal that because there were no sanctions against the legislature and no orders for them to make districts whole from underfunding, that were they to appeal that decision, that is something that could come back from an appeal procedure. So just part of the discussion was that some a lot of people don't think it will be appealed, but we'll find out. So, and then I will talk to you here in a few minutes about the High School Activities Association item that we discussed during that meeting as well. So, did Haley, Bryce, do you know if Haley had anything? She didn't tell you. Okay.
Big dots of changes. Next thing on the radar.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Anyone else have anything from the board? All right. Future agenda items. So I will clarify something for you. The reason we moved new business A to April 2nd at 6 p.m. is we were missing a number of people at 5 o'clock that I was not aware we were going to be missing. And those are such important decisions to make that we wanted to be sure as much of the board as possible would be here to have the opportunity to be involved in those decisions. So that's why we are going to start at 7 p.m. on March 24th. That's a Monday, so that is a change. Correct. And then on April 2nd, we will start at 6. And the budget meeting is scheduled right now for 3:45 on the 24th. And they wanted to, do you think they would like to move that later since the board can meet later? Or I guess we could meet at 6 that day. Would you guys rather meet at 6 that night? Since we're having the budget meeting before on the 24th. Because some of you and I and all, right? Are you on budget committee? So we'll be here already. So will 6 be better than you would get? Which would you rather have 6 or 7? We'll keep it 7. Yeah. That's just since we're changing the day, we don't need to change the time. And then we'll add our meeting for April 2nd at 6 p.m. Okay, anything else? Anyone have anything else in for your information or future agenda items? I will say in the discussion, we may add something later, but anyway, so in discussion, we have Newcastle Chamber of Commerce membership. Brad?
So, Madam Chair, just to give you sort of a little bit of the history. At one time, we were a member of the chamber because the chamber did like a welcome back, new teacher welcome luncheon. It had a backpack, and local businesses put different kinds of souvenirs, welcome ideas in their bag. That ended probably about 7 years ago, which is what the last time that we were part of the chamber. And so the reason that it's on the discussion is, not to sound like a legislator here, but I'm going to borrow one of their terms. The question is where's your bang for your buck here? I mean, by joining, what is it that the chamber can assist the board in, or the board can assist the chamber in? And so with that, it really is up to the board. We've been members in the past, and currently we are not. And I didn't know with the new board members what the direction of the board would be.
All right. Well, I will say that I really think that collaborating with them, especially like with the business and trade fair, was a great thing. I think that helped expose that to the community more, and so I certainly appreciate that. And since that's so new, I'm hoping it went well enough that they'll want to do that again too. Because I think that fair's pretty amazing. But does anyone, Jason?
I guess Brad or Madam Chair, again, like you said, what exactly do we get out of our membership versus, or what's the pros of being a member and not a member, or what do we get for our money?
You do have your benefits listed here, but if you would rather have, part of me is like, part of me is worried about funding for so many things that I'm hesitant to say we should spend money on anything new. However, we do have all the list of benefits here in the packet, but if you would like to have the director come and visit, we can certainly invite her, and I'm sure she'd be glad to come. If that, I see a nod. What do you guys think? Shall we invite the director? Billy?
Brad, in the past, at what level do you know that we've been at?
Nonprofit status, or?
I do not know.
So silver.
Silver's 240, bronze is 180. Okay.
I think
Bronze.
Okay. Get a plaque.
So I'm getting the sense I should just give her a call and invite her to the next meeting. That makes Joe?
Yeah, and just make sure she has something to tell us what will benefit us, because I'm kind of with Jason. I don't know what's in here to benefit us as a school district, so, and with funding, so.
All right, I will invite the director to come to our next meeting. Okay. Anyone have anything else on Newcastle Chamber? I will wait for Brad to come back before I start this High School Activities Association topic. There he is. The plaque's gone. We're gonna invite the director to come. I will get a hold of her tomorrow. All right, so the High School Activities Association is starting to consider an official policy on NIL, and NIL is name, image, and likeness. Is that right? That's right, isn't it? For the High School Activities Association. The Wyoming School Board Association has actually 2 members who have seats on the High School Activities Association Board. I said that right, didn't I? The School Boards Association has 2 members on the High School Activities Association Board. They're very concerned about this policy. I just got it in email the other day and perused it a little after our meeting and our discussion. And I'm going to forward it to all of you. And then I've asked Brad and CeeLo if we can make sure the ADs get it. And I also would like the coaches to see it and offer some input too, because I think there are a lot of unintended consequences. So basically what we're talking about is a policy that describes how athletes can receive compensation for use of their name, image, and likeness. And my concern is that it could really just have all kinds of unintended consequences. For example, someone who sponsors the big senior banner of a senior athlete in a sport, and when that sport's over, that's folded up and given to the athlete, then is that some sort of gift or commitment to them or from the athlete because they're accepting a gift? But I will get you this information and we'll get it disseminated, and then hopefully maybe we can talk about that in.
Madam Chair, it wasn't just activities. I mean, it was clubs as well as sports, correct?
Yes.
So if I have Brad LaCroix's clothing line and I get a student to wear that, it's national FBLA, that's part of the deal as well, correct?
That's my understanding.
Yeah.
It can cover all manner of things that I think is.
I get what it does for some. I'd like to know what it does for all kids.
Yeah. So the School Board Association members, so our fellow board members, would really like us to draft a letter of what we think about that and get that to the High School Activities Association before their 3rd reading. And they will meet again later this month, which was when they thought would be their 1st reading. So I was hoping in April that we could formulate some sort of response for that. So that gives us about a month to look at that and express our concerns. Jason.
Has that board came out with anything?
I don't know what you mean.
What is their position?
They are looking at developing a policy, so they'll have their 1st reading next month.
But I mean, have they said either way?
Well, it's like us. They'll vote on it. They'll edit it. They'll,
I just didn't know if you got the impression of.
Well, obviously someone thinks it's important and is a driver behind it. That's.
So, Jason, I think what your real question is I think there is considerable interest at the state level to do what other states have done. I don't know all of the states that have done that, but I would say that there is a pretty strong driving force at the Activities Association to move in this direction with a policy, so there's a form of consistency. Does that answer your question?
And I mean, I will say this, as far as I'm concerned, I think high school is not a place where you make money being an athlete or in activities. And I don't know if, because they're looking at there's transfer issues with it, and there's there's a lot of stuff to consider. But anyway, I just want everybody to be aware that's out there, and we'll get that out and hear what everyone has to say, and hopefully get a letter to High School Activities Association. So, all right. Anyone have any concerns or questions about that? Thanks for the extra work, right? Sorry. All right. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
You guys.
Okay, I'll call the East and Weston County Recreation Board to order. You have the East and Weston County Recreation Board to order. You have an agenda in front of you. Do I have an motion to approve the agenda?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I would just make one change, if that's okay.
Yep.
The under old business A, July 17th at 4:30 p.m. through the 18th, because they said they wouldn't need the area on Saturday and Sunday, and that way if we decide to close it to parking, we didn't tell them they could have it.
Okay.
17th
Yep.
through the 18th. Yeah. 17th at 4:30.
Thank you.
So I would move to approve with that change, I guess.
Been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor of what's the word I'm looking for? The amended agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Agenda's passed. Recognitions. Does anybody have any recognitions? Seeing none, we'll move on to visitors' comments, staff input, or special programs. Seeing none, move on to action items. You have a consent agenda in front of you. Do I have a motion to approve the
I'll
consent?
make a motion.
Been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on the consent agenda? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Consent agenda is passed. Old business, car club, autocross. Do we have to, we voted on this already. We just want to, no, we got to vote to approve with the
We were pending, that's right.
Insurance.
It was pending insurance.
But
You're right.
are we,
With the insurance still isn't.
Yeah, so.
we have it, but
Okay, we're just waiting for that.
So we still have to vote.
or do we
Okay.
just vote on it pending approval? Pending approval of the insurance?
Change, do
Okay.
that again. I think that's probably smart, yeah.
So do I have a motion to approve the car club autocross pending insurance approval for the days Friday the 17th through 4:30 p.m. through the 8th, Thursday the 17th, 4:30 p.m. through Friday the 18th. Do I have a motion to approve?
So
I didn't hear who it was.
Billy.
Billy?
I'll
Yeah.
second.
Been properly moved and seconded. Is there any other discussion on this?
Mr. Chairman, just curious, would it be a good idea to leave the parking lot open and charge for parking? I mean, I'm not trying to be greedy, but we keep asking, what are we getting out of this deal?
Yeah.
And if we could charge whatever to park in our parking lot for a couple days, that might help put a little bit of money back towards if there is anything that needs addressed. I'm not gonna say will, but you know what I mean? I'm not saying that it has to be like a valet parking or whatever, but I know that that is huge. At the big events, you drop the valet off and they really like it because then they just get out, you park it, they bring their tag back. It was just an idea.
No, and it's a great idea. But here's the only problem with valet parking. Even when we have the adults that do it at prom, there is no occasional behavior dysfunction that will occur when it's somebody else's car. And I think the added liability, but truly, I think for, the close-up kids line up, you keep it real simple. It's $5, come and go. You come in here, you go out there. Once you leave, it's another $5, folks. And then that could, one of my biggest fears about fundraising is when students have to go door to door. I've never cared for that. And that's just part of being old. I get that. But I think anytime we could take a little bit of pressure off of our community, and pass it on to those that are visiting for an event, whether it be close-up, whether it be FBLA, I mean, anything that could help our community and keep our kids from going door to door.
I was just thinking between the football parking lot, the school parking lot, the admin parking lot, and let's face it, Deadwood gets $15 to $20 for a crappy parking spot. So who knows what we could get for a good one? I'm just saying, I'm trying not to be greedy, but if we can, why not?
Yeah, but
I think it's a great
But
idea.
1 second. Are you trying to hit on this point, Bill?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I'm doing.
if it's all right with you guys, I'll talk to Bryce about the fundraising piece too and see, if we can get fundraising or people to volunteer for the 19th and 20th for the parking.
That'd be great.
Yeah. Okay. I'll touch bases with him as well.
Okay.
Not only the 18th, but
Tyler?
Yeah, I'm all for helping our clubs out, helping, bring money back for this event and stuff on the, was it the 19th and 20th, especially where they got the drags going on the 19th with bypass here. My only question would be for, I believe, Adam. Do we have any kind of barriers or something, just to block off the entrances so we're not...
For people have to stop coming in.
Well, that way, so it would be like a gate kind of thing. So we can set up right there for them to pay their place to park.
I mean, literally all we would have is some flagging and some cones.
Okay.
I don't have any.
There's something that we can do that way it's a little bit more safer.
Yeah, I don't have anything that would be permanent or semi-permanent or movable permanent.
I bet the
Oh.
fundraiser kids could be.
Just need an orange vest.
Jason?
Adam, have we come up with a plan for, the backside of the middle school to block off that?
That doesn't matter.
They are gonna block okay.
They were supposed to.
Yeah.
That was one thing we did ask last time.
With portable in case.
Okay.
Right.
So one thing for parking, for clubs, we'd have to make sure, I don't want to put, if we're allowing people to park on the 19th and 20th, I don't want to put cleaning up afterwards on the maintenance crew. So I think clubs that are going to fundraise for this or whatever, we need to make sure that they know they're cleaning up, not our maintenance crew. They're already taxed enough. We don't need to tax them anymore with this stuff. So, okay. So did we vote on this already?
Mr. Chair, it would have to amend, the original motion would have to be amended to read that we would have the parking lots available on the 19th and 20th then.
At a charge.
it'd be paid parking.
Right.
Okay,
No, because that is separate.
That's not part of the.
That's not part of the, yeah, that's
not part of the.
no, that's the.
That'd be a new one.
That would just.
So we'll just do separate, because the only reason I did that was we specifically said 17th, 4 PM. I
yes,
just wanted to make sure that we did have it documented, whether it was a different vote or amending it, that we would be open to parking on the 19th and 20th.
okay, so I'm gonna,
Can we throw that on the next?
yeah, I'd like to ask Pam if that's okay with her first.
And let's make sure we got people to volunteer
Yep,
that want to do it before we.
okay, I do like that, so I'll get Adam, go ahead.
The basketball court guy finisher will be here those days as well, so we'll still have to leave that back parking lot open.
Yep. Yep, and it's just bring the trailer in one day through here, and then he's gonna go around the practice field the other days, correct?
Yeah, so whatever day he starts, we'll bring in a big fifth wheel with all this equipment, we'll back it in between the gyms. And then, yes, we'll just come in through the middle school parking lot, up around the shop, and then park in the back.
Okay. So right now we have just the motion for passing the car club autocross for Thursday, the 17th, 4:30 PM through the 18th,
Pending final.
pending final insurance approval. Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same sign. It's been passed. I see no new business for now. So we'll move on to, for your information, the Cozy Check Aquatic Center Fund raiser or request or SOP, as I heard it called earlier.
Here's a thought for you to consider. When you're talking $600,000, it really isn't, in my opinion, very wise to think that you're going to take that away necessarily from, children, or staff. So about 2 months ago, CeeLo, and I started working on this packet. The reason I think it's important for you to see the packet is not that I'm asking you for money, but it does impact a major part of our facility that delivers recreation. Not only recreation, but education and everything else. But to do it and do it well, I need your understanding that the first place I'm going to stop is the endowment. And the reason for the endowment is most of the companies that I've reached out to can only really do a reasonable size donation to a project that is under a 501c3. And the endowment actually does that. The other thing that I think sort of helps us is, if you're okay with this, and I would take any feedback that you have to make it look better, get those ideas to CeeLo. But the other thing that it does is it's in pretty good timing with our all-school reunion. And so, again, it's a huge undertaking. But for example, I've already had conversations with Powder River Energy. I've reached out to a couple of the coal mines. I've talked to some local businesses. I wanted you to see it before I took it to the endowment, so that if you were asked, what in the world is this about? Really, we're trying to save a pool, folks, which is anything from 5 o'clock lap swim to swim lessons to OT, PT to adaptive PE, stingrays, club swimming, including our high school kids, to just a place to go play. And it is one of the only places that we still teach a true life-saving skill, and that is that ability to at least save yourself around water. Which I go back way back when, I believe was the original intent of the pools that the community has had. So with that said, this is sort of a draft. My next stop was to have an endowment meeting to see if I could get them to allow at least the depository piece of that, and then start sending this flyer out or giving it to you so that you can share it with friends, families, and neighbors, or anybody that would be willing to help us out, because it's a considerable chunk of change. I think it's important. I just don't really, it's not as important to me to take away education or the ability for staff to switch their mind about a profession that's pretty important to children. So I'd like to keep it separate, but
Michael Stolken did things right. And what Nathan Todd did in that meeting, dressing him down, he said not to pick sides. No, he did pick sides. And he picked Becky Hadlock's side. And once again, Becky Hadlock was wrong. So thank you on behalf of the people of Weston County to Michael Stolken for stepping up and doing the job that the people elect him to do.
Well, and not only was she wrong, but once we finally got our records request, she was even more wrong because it was incomplete. And the state public records ombudsman admitted that and said that those documents should have been included. So I just find it interesting that everybody puts faith in someone who continues to make the same mistakes, which at this point aren't mistakes.
really, it's not as important to me to take away education or the ability for staff to switch their mind about a profession that's pretty important to children. So I'd like to keep it separate, but I could ramble on forever. I want to thank Adam for the photos. Adam's actually done the bulk of the figuring there and things of that nature. But I always thought at least the packet gives, before I put money to something, I really need to know what it's going towards. I don't like to just say, well, just give me a donation, here I am. So with that, I would open it up to questions.
So Brad, is the alternative filling it in with concrete and having a big indoor playground? Is that, essentially what is the end result?
And so truly, even to do that though, we would have to, it doesn't change the cost of the exterior needs. It does, you're going to basically rob Peter to pay Paul so what you're not going to do with a pool liner, you're going to put in some kind of a concrete or a suspended floor to continue to use that. I think either way, whether it's a pool or a rec center, would you agree that it's apples to apples? It's about the same price, isn't it?
I would say the initial cost would probably be more to turn it into a rec center, because the concrete piece or floating floor, and also it would take an entire AC unit because there's no AC in that building, and it would be extremely hot with all those windows. So the initial cost would probably be more. Long term, you might save a little money. I don't know that you'd ever break even, between the chemicals and the boilers for the heating the water and stuff, but it's a wash at the end of the day. It's going to be a fortune no matter what we do with it. Yeah.
My first suggestion looking through is don't make people turn their heads or you put those pictures all so people can just turn. That's just a formatting thing, but it's just makes it much nicer. And then my other suggestion would be if you had a couple of maybe a couple of testimonials, especially from kids who might have learned to swim or love to swim. Just a few sentences from some people, that makes a big difference, I think, when you're doing this sort of thing.
Well, I would even say not even just the kids, but anybody that utilizes, like you said, PT, OT, anybody that has used that gym,
Well, and you offer it free to the senior citizens and And not that a lot of people take advantage of it, but those that do, they're pretty religious about that exercise event.
Paul?
So I don't know if this is a question for Adam or you, but is this gonna be the end all fix all? And I'm not trying to be the Nancy naysayer here. I'm just curious if it's gonna cost us this much to put a pool liner in and coat the outside, how long does that buy us before something else goes out? Cause wasn't it just a couple years ago, the sand filter system or whatever that was, took a big knockout, and that was, I mean, it's an older building, and especially when you're dealing with that kind of volume of water, you're gonna have problems, I get it. I'm just curious, is there gonna be an upgrade of something to where this is gonna last another 30 or 40 years, or is this just something to where we're gonna keep pouring money into? I mean, is there light at the end of the tunnel, or is it just?
No, there's not a light at the end of the tunnel. A pool for every argument is a money pit. Originally, the thought I think that the board had with the rec board was a bulk of that money would be to, help maintain and keep that building up. Knowing that, every 20 years, that's about where we're at now anyway. This is the same story we told 32 years ago when I came here, when the pool sat over here in the parking lot. They are a venue that I think has a great need and value, but they do come with a huge cost. Hopefully there'll be enough rec money, 10% money, that we're aware of and we can, better prepare for the what if. It's just that for us to do 10% money now, this project would be on hold for 7 years.
Yeah, so if you didn't spend any of your 10% money, the major maintenance budget's roughly $800,000. We can use 10% of that, so $80,000 a year if you didn't use absolutely any of it, which is impossible because you still got to do stuff with it. So yeah, it would be whatever that is, 6, 7, 8 years at least.
Yeah, there really isn't I don't have a long-term solution to that. I think not to, I heard earlier this week, there's always this fight in the community about the need of a rec center, and why can't we have what Gillette or Rapid City has? You can have anything, but here's the problem. You can't afford it all. And what people, I think, forget is once you build these things, they're great. But there is a huge amount of money that you have to have readily available when that 24-inch drain pipe broke. There's not a lot of people that can go fix that kind of stuff. I mean, it's sort of like where the refinery is. You have people that really can do that, and you have a bunch of people that can't. But long term, I'm hoping that this Band-Aid is another, 15 to 20 year fix. And to be honest, after that, I would have to say that you'd probably be in the same bonding issue that we were 20 years ago, where if the community wants to have something like that, you're going to have to pass a bond to do something.
Well, and that's why I asked. To me, this is like we bought a Ferrari 28 years ago and said we can afford it. And now it's broken down. So we're trying to buy parts for it, but nobody has parts. And when we do find parts, they're so expensive.
Yeah.
So is it worth it? Do we put it up on blocks? I mean, you can't just have your Ferrari sitting in the driveway on blocks.
Well,
But the question is, then do we need to do something to where we can actually upgrade or do something in the future to where it's not going to keep tripping us every time we come back around to it? You know what I mean? I know pools are money pits. I get that. That's just the nature of pools. But this is so much money. If there's anything we can do now to try to avoid it, or, I hate to say upgrade, but if there's some way that we could, instead of using the old Apple Mac computer, we could get an iPad or something. I'm just trying to make this all make sense to me, how we can keep a pool and maybe not spend tons and tons and tons of money, because it seems like every time we turn around it's something else, whether it's the filters or the pipe or the outside, whatever.
I can't answer that. I'd leave that up. I hate to defer, but I don't have that answer.
And talking to, I don't remember what that company is. I don't know, Montana Pools or something. It's people who built the pool. A liner is the upgrade, but 20 years, I mean, it's only going to last so long. You put new tires on your Ferrari, they're only going to last so long. It's but I mean, we did the exact same thing at the elementary school this year as far as pressure washing or sandblasting the outside and sealing the outside. In 20 years, it's going to need done again. It's just the nature of the beast. The pool just wears out faster because of the chlorine, and I mean, it's hard on everything. So yes, there is an upgrade. That is with the upgrades, but the upgrade only lasts, whatever, 15, 20 years. Yep. And to add to that, if you turn it in direct center, if you did the outside of the building, put new windows in it, in 20 years, you're going to do the outside of the building again. You don't have to, but then you're going to deal with gym floors and AC units. And I mean, it's just something else you're going to deal with. It's just different. Yes.
Anything else?
Please, if you take it home and sleep at night, need to read something. And really, I never thought about that's a great idea with the photos. I think we could get some stakeholders quotes. I think those are good. But anything like that, but, I think it's worth a try to see if we can save what we can save. I know a lot of people put a lot of work into the original investment of that. 20 years is not a long time. So yeah, you're right. It is pretty soon. It won't even be a Ferrari. But as long as your Ferrari doesn't go over 50, we have an obstacle course for you this summer.
Well, if there's no other discussion on the aquatic center, I'd say, yeah, let's get that out. Center, any other discussion items? Jason?
We may have already talked about it, but I think maybe for the next meeting or something, we were talking about the parking lot, so adding that to the agenda for parking.
Yeah. It'll get added, and I'll call Pam.
And I know for the actual course, I know we briefly talked about possibly utilizing buses, maybe parking at the fairgrounds. I didn't know if we've heard any more on that or what.
No.
Yeah, they mentioned busing people.
Okay.
We also talked about possibly using our buses to be able to do that.
And as a cost, charge a fee, yes, we have. Yeah. So I don't know. I just thought of that when we talked about the parking lot for the drag races, where we were on that portion of it.
Would we have a problem using our buses to bus people from Ida? Okay.
And, yeah, I was gonna say, Laramie County school buses run all the remote parking at Frontier Days.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I know for a fact it can be done. Oh yeah, if you use the remote parking like out by the base and the interstate, you get on a school bus to go to Frontier Park.
And
So
I'll
it can.
I did drop the ball on that. That is my fault. That was one of the things I had written down, and I have forgotten to ask Pam about that. But I will bring it up. So,
You've had a few things.
so Billy?
I talked to Bryce. He's gonna draft a letter for this, we'll call it sponsors and clubs. about concession stand or vendor, whatever, / parking lot. And try to get an idea of who would be interested in it and try to cover the vending on the 18th and parking lot on the 19th and 20th. So he'll get back on that and I'll work with him on that.
Okay. Thank you. Any other discussion items? All right, meeting adjourned.